the organizers, the industry has to take a step back and say, listen, let's start taking care of the healthcare and the fitness. Let's get traditional sports, their experience into our industry. And let's take care of the people after all and making us millionaires, right?
Welcome back to SiGMA 2019. Joining me now is Kirill, and thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, this is a different subject to what we've been discussing throughout our SiGMA journey so far, and it's discussing healthcare and eSports and how they come together. So tell our viewers a little bit more about your specialty.
Right. I'm a traditional sports medical consultant. But the last couple of years I've been working within the eSports and video gaming health and fitness aspect. Because unfortunately, whilst eSports has expanded tremendously, the healthcare and the fitness elements have not. In a way, we're subject to our own success. Traditional sports developed over hundreds, if not thousands of years. So healthcare and fitness developed at the same pace. Esports is amazing growth, but we're not catching up. And too many of our practitioners are getting burnt along the way, both physically and sometimes even psychologically.
And what can be done to help prevent some of these issues? I know that sometimes well-being is extremely important, but it can sometimes be overlooked when it comes to profit margins and companies and organisations. So what can be done to ensure that actions and positive actions are taking place?
That's an excellent question. And the biggest problem, I think, is that the iGaming community and the video gaming community aren't really working hand in hand in establishing a setup where the healthcare and the fitness of the participants is taken care of directly. We don't need to reinvent the industry. We don't, far from it. We just have to look at other industries who take their corporate social responsibility a bit, have gone the other way, because the stigma around those communities is rather blatant. All I'm talking about here is gambling and tobacco and alcohol. They're not in the same sphere as eSports. Don't get me wrong, but the problems are there. And research, although still limited, unfortunately, has shown that a large number of participants in video gaming and eSports do suffer from health-related issues. Now, some are the obvious ones where you get your gamer spending too many hours sitting down and those 300, 400 movements of their hands on the consoles or on the mouse that automatically give them musculoskeletal issue. They have problems with their neck, problems with their shoulders, their wrists. Those are the obvious ones. But then we're also seeing a large amount of participants with problems with their eyesight, which would, it's obvious. We tell everyone don't spend too much time looking at your screen, and yet are we doing anything to take care about that? And then let's not go into the nutrition and their diets and the lack of physical activity and the psychological and the addiction problems which we are seeing are rather big issues.
So we're saying that they need to be addressed more, and they also need to be made more aware and maybe reminded to users as well in the industry.
I think that the industry has to pool and get something going as a group. We've seen it in traditional sports. What were the major health-related problems we've seen on traditional sports? Basically doping. So what did the International Olympic Committee and the stakeholders do? They created the World Anti-Doping Agency, which takes care of doping. That's happened about 30 years ago. And they take care of doping, and we've seen multiple success stories. You have to preempt these problems. Same thing in specific organizations, for example, cycling. Once again, they had massive doping issues. And what did they do? They created a foundation specifically to tackle these issues. And I believe that the organizers, the industry has to take a step back and say, listen, let's start taking care of the healthcare and the fitness. Let's get traditional sports, their experience into our industry. and let's take care of the people after are making us millionaires, right?
Well, thank you so much for shedding some insight onto that. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Well, that's all from us here. We'd love to hear how you found this segment.